Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. Today I'm looking at a brand new O-scale model by Dapol. One rabbit hole that I like falling down is Dapol O-gauge brake vans. I like to investigate these because usually they're very inexpensive for what they are. You know, O-gauge models from other brands usually cost a bomb, but Dapols, no, they're usually quite cheap. In fact, I don't think I've ever paid over £100 for a Dapol O-scale brake van. And there's two possible reasons for this cheapness. First of all, the model is just a bit crap. Introducing the Dapol pillbox brake van, yeah, that wasn't very good. And the other reason is that Dapol sometimes like to surprise us with absolute bargains, but we never know which those models are going to be until they come out and we try them. So I do like to investigate the O-gauge brake vans. I like to look at them, I like to ask, you know, do all the parts stay on? Have they got good quality couplings? Do they run all right? And the biggest question of all, is there a detailed interior? Now, the answer to that question with all of the Dapol O-gauge brake vans I've tried so far has been no. But the people at Sam's Trains have faith in Dapol. In other words, I have faith in Dapol. That today, the answer to that question will change from a resounding no to yes, with this. Dapol's brand new Great Western Toad brake van in O-gauge. Now this came out just before Christmas, and it's not that I don't think brake vans are interesting, because heaven knows I do, but I was so busy with all the new loco releases and my Christmas videos that I ended up pushing this back to the new year. So it's been quite a painful wait, but finally I'm going to find out what this is like. I've heard some good things, but I've tried to stay away from most sort of reviews of these until I've seen one for myself. So this is quite inexpensive for what it is, although it's not as cheap as some of the brake vans I've looked at. So the full RRP is over £100, it's £101.50, and they're available at the moment from the retailers for £86.29. And if you're interested, I do have affiliate links in the description. I'm a bit annoyed because I ended up paying £96.44 for this. I pre-ordered it, and since then the prices seem to have gone down. But either way, high expectations. I think this is possibly the most I've actually paid for a brake van from Dapol. So let's see what this is like. Is it going to be good, or is it going to be another Southern pillbox? Hopefully not. Hopefully it's a Toad, but you know what I mean. Let's get started. Alright then, the first O-gauge review of 2025. Usual Dapol box, nice and sturdy. Obviously the Toads are quite large brake vans, so hopefully we'll have a nice substantial model here. Anyway, let me show you the end of the box. There's all sorts of these Toads to choose from, so do check out the range if you are interested. But I went for 7F-300-001. It's the Great Western Toad brake van, Great Western Grey. It's number 56683, and it's built from diagram A815. And I think that is all the box is going to tell us, so let's open this up and let's see what this is like. Lovely Toad brake van, and of course I do have a 14XX in O-gauge, so I could use that with this hopefully, plus some wagons. So I've got a use for it. Oh yes. Odd moment. Yeah, this is an odd moment because I've only ever owned Toad brake vans in O scale, and they're obviously sort of this big. Yeah, this seems very big to my eyes. Always takes me a minute to adjust to an O-gauge model that I'm so familiar with in O scale. But anyway, yeah, that looks marvellous. Look at that. Right, can I get this out? Try and do it this way. Yeah. Now, anything I need to know about? Nope, no instructions. So it really is just the brake van, and I'm not even seeing accessories. Well, that makes things simple, doesn't it? Right, let's have a look at the roof then. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot to see on the roof, but we'll look nevertheless. Here we go. Ooh, bit of a crack. Moving the plastic. Yep, classic Great Western Toad white roof there, with the chimney, of course. Yeah, it looks nice. Nice finish to it, actually. Nice and clean. I know a lot of people will want to weather this. Anyway, lifting up. Ooh. Ooh, substantial weight. Yeah, I like that. And we've got a bit of sponge sticking out of the door there, so let's pull that out. Ooh, to reveal we've got a door that's openable and closable. Very nice. Yeah, this looks really lovely. There's quite a bit of complexity to this, which does kind of explain the price. I mean, we've already seen the opening doors, all the handrails are separately fitted, so that will have some expense. And who knows, if we're lucky, maybe there will be a detailed interior inside this. Fingers crossed. On the downside, it doesn't seem dreadfully sturdy. I mean, the roof, I can feel, is coming off in my fingers. The axle boxes are loose, and they're not sprung or anything. It's just the whole side of the model, actually, with the footboards and everything. They're loose on both sides. So, yeah, it doesn't feel dreadfully sturdy or anything, although it doesn't look as though anything's actually dropped off it. So, yeah, hopefully not. Anyway, close look at this in just a second, but first, let's have some background on the Toad brake vans in real life. The first Toad brake vans were introduced to the Great Western in 1894, but countless different designs were built between then and the early 1950s. Regardless of the design though, the function of these brake vans remained pretty much the same. Early goods wagons were only fitted with hand brakes, so these brake vans were needed at the back of a train to slow it down when on the move. Later, when vacuum brakes were introduced, brake vans were still required for a time in order to accommodate a guard to keep an eye on the proceedings from the back of the train. Early Toad brake vans were small and light, but as the size and weight of goods trains grew, so did the brake vans. This example, the AA15, was introduced following the First World War in 1918, and they did weigh in at 20 tonnes, and they had self-contained buffers that distinguished them from some of the other similar designs. While brake vans haven't been required by law on British railways for quite some time, many Toad brake vans do survive today under preservation, and they can even still be seen operating on various heritage railways. So there it is, up close and personal for you, Dapol's brand new, well, pretty new, Great Western 20-ton Toad. And as you can see, this is a beautiful model. And truly, it is extremely well detailed, as we're going to see. In fact, I might as well pronounce it now. I think this is the most detailed Dapol O-gauge brake van I've ever looked at. I have to say though, I am a little bit disappointed in the quality of the model, which is a mixed bag, unfortunately. There are aspects of the model which are great. I mean, the decoration, as we're going to see, is wonderful, very, very nicely done. And it's been quite neatly assembled as well. Most of the parts are present and correct and with no visible glue. But there's just something about this that doesn't seem to be brilliant quality. So the roof is a big one. I mean, the roof is just not fixed on at all. It comes off ridiculously easily, which is fine. You know, that gives you access to the interior, which we'll talk about later. But also, this is where you grab models, so it's a bit hazardous, isn't it, when you go to try and lift it off and the roof comes off. So again, I just think maybe some magnets, like with the 00 Hawthorne Leslie, just to hold that roof on, perhaps some clips, just so that it doesn't drop off constantly. Also, the frames are just made of plastic and they are completely loose, as I've been saying. I don't know why these are loose like this. That's not the compensation. The compensation is here, which allows the axles to move around. That's intentional. I've never seen this before on other Dapol rolling stock though, so why those aren't glued in properly, I'm not too sure. Also, one of the wheels is hopelessly wobbly on its axle, which is kind of less acceptable, isn't it? And this is kind of a theme with Dapol. I've noticed this on a lot of their 00 scale rolling stock, but I tend to overlook it because those wagons tend to be 10 to 12 pounds. Well, this is more like 100 pounds, and there's nothing worse than seeing rolling stock wobbling along. So why they don't crack that issue, I'm not too sure. Also, the handrails are not great. These are just plastic, and as you can see, they're kind of wobbly looking, and they don't hold their shape brilliantly. And what makes this worse is that they're not actually fixed on at every possible place. So you see these anchor points here, yeah, they're not real. They just look like it. So these massively long handrails, which look like they're well fixed to the body, actually aren't. So again, it just adds to this sort of flimsy feel of the model. The weight though is okay, so it weighs in at 204 grams, which is a lot more than the pillbox from last time, which just weighed 129 grams, and this is within a couple of grams as the BR 20-ton brake van. Obviously, in real life, this was 20-ton as well, so I would say the weight is about right, even though, as I say, the frames are just plastic. However, the chassis behind the frames is metal, so that's where a fair bit of the weight comes from. Anyway, let's look at the detail on this. First, let's talk about the decoration. So great finish. It's not too shiny, but it's got a bit of a sort of satin sheen to it, which I think is about right for a wooden-bodied model presented in pristine condition. We've got the roof, of course, which is painted white with a similar finish. And of course the handrails and such, these are all white as well to match that. The lettering on the side is excellent. We've got the Great Western letters here, lovely application, and you can also see the planking behind those, which is a real treat to see. Running number, the weight, 20 tons, even some print work on the sole bar, as you can see. Yeah, the decoration is absolutely fine. Let's take a look at the detailing then. So the wheels are beautifully produced. They may be wobbly at times, but they do at least look good. We've got very detailed looking axle boxes. The axle boxes don't move on this model as they did on the pillbox, which is, I suppose, a pity, but again, it's £100, you know. I don't mind not seeing that feature. Then we've also got the footboards here, which are separately fitted as well. And on the underside, you can see we've got the sanding pipes and the full brake rigging as well, which is very nicely modelled. Then on the ends of the model, we've got the lamp brackets, which are separately fitted. We've got instanter couplings, which seem to be okay quality. They seem sturdy enough, and the hooks themselves are very strongly sprung. Not sure why they're quite that strongly sprung. It's going to take a lot of force to move those, but you know, they're okay. And then the buffers are made of metal and they are sprung. There you go, nice sprung buffers. Looks lovely. Here's a look at the other end, the end with the veranda, which is similar, of course, except for the veranda, which is massively detailed. So we've got openable doors, which is a real nice touch. That gives you a lot of modelling opportunities. And there is loads of detail in here as well. We've got the planking on the floor. We've got the various controls and the brake handle, which also has painting on it. And the big burning question that I've been deliberately and probably irritatingly avoiding is, does this have an interior? And the answer is yes. This is exactly what I've been looking for all these years from Dapol. What a difference this makes. So we've got a door. Look at the opening door and look at all the detail on the inside as well with the handle and everything. In fact, the doors on the veranda have this detail as well. They've got the sort of bolt. Incredible. The interior is decorated as well into a chocolate and cream. We've got the benches, we've got the stove, got the little table here, more controls and such over here with separate parts on them. Yes, Dapol, this is so much more like it. This is O gauge after all, you know, this is not 00, it's much, much larger. It's possible to get these details into models. That's what people like about O gauge. That's the advantage of O gauge even over 00. Interior detail is absolutely essential, and I think this one aspect of the model makes it well worth the money, in my opinion. So yeah, I like that a lot. And then of course on the roof, I'll get that back on, you can see we've got the top of the chimney, which lines up with the stove underneath. Otherwise, the moulded detail is top notch. The planking, the riveting, all of that looks great, and the sole bar looks great as well. All the rivets, the places where the body's sort of bolted and riveted onto it. Yeah, all of this looks just great. So you can tell this is new tooled, you can tell it's really modern, and on the whole, it is a great looking brake van. Shame about the quality. You might say, well, it's only £100, what do you expect? But I say, this was £100. You know, a little bit better build quality, I don't think would have gone amiss. But in terms of looks, this is the best looking Dapol brake van I've ever seen, possibly even the best looking piece of Dapol O-gauge rolling stock I've ever seen. In fact, scrap the Dapol. This might be the most detailed O-gauge piece of rolling stock I've ever seen, although maybe the Ellis Clark press float had a bit more to it. But yeah, beautiful model, but how does it perform? Is it going to work properly? Will it handle points all right? Will the wobbly axle boxes let it down? Hopefully not, but let's see. So here's today's setup then. I've got the Toad on the track waiting to couple up to this train. So as promised, I've got the Great Western, well, it's a BR livery, but you know what I mean, 1400 loco with some wagons. Some of them are Southern Railway wagons, but it's just to bulk up the train. Anyway, in terms of the free rolling of the van, yeah, it's all right. I've seen freer rolling wagons, I think, and yeah, you can just about detect the wobbling. Hopefully that comes across on camera. I think really given how loose the axle boxes are and how much flop there is in the wheels, the free rolling of it, is pretty good. Although I think even though the brake pads seem to be quite well adjusted, because the wheels are free to move around so much, I feel like at times they have to be contacting the wheels, don't they? So that might be why it's not the freest in the world, but it's certainly not too bad. Right, let's try those instanter couplings then, or at least one of them. Let's back the train up, and I'll have to do this towards the left portion of the shot because I need to get access to the instanters. Now, where's my dog dentistry toothpick? I'll need that. Yep, here it is. Right, let's see how easy this is to do. I will use the coupling that's on the wagon, or the brake van. Ooh, the roof's coming off, but I did it. Yeah, case in point about the roof there. But there we go. Yeah, that's nicely coupled. Right, take it away then, and I suppose I will put the brake van over the points, see how it gets on over those. There we go, it's coupled. Off she goes. Right, cue the usual floundering as I try and match power to the other line, which, no, I almost managed to do. Damn it. I should have stuck with my gut and not changed my mind. Anyway, there it goes, over the point. I think it's still on the track from where I am. Does it look good to you? Again, I don't know why I always say that. You can't answer me. Well, you could in the future, but I'll have edited it by then, so that's pointless. Backwards. Ooh, yeah, nice. Let's not bring the loco back onto the other line, power-wise. All right, so performance over points, excellent. Right, I'll engage the shuttle system then, and we'll watch this thing run up and down, make sure it takes the curves okay. I think we've got power. I'm just waiting now for the shuttle unit to kick in, and it should send the train backwards, hopefully not at too much of an alarming speed. I've set it to 40 on the controller, so now we wait. Oh, there we go. Oh, it went too quick, I missed it. Anyway, we'll observe the performance. Okay, here we go. Very tight curve. Seems all right. More than all right. Yep, it's still on the track. Perfect. All right, so yeah, performance then seems to be absolutely fine. It's okay over points. It's handled a very tight curve without coming uncoupled. I don't think there's much more I can say there. Perhaps it could have been slightly freer rolling, maybe, but there doesn't seem to be a huge issue with that. And I suppose it is a brake van after all, so when you stop the train, I suppose it is a bit more realistic that it doesn't appear to keep coasting and that it does seem to be slowing the train. So I suppose a bit of friction in it would help that, but again, I don't think that's intentional really. But yeah, a lovely brake van, runs perfectly, and of course it looks great as it runs as well. And now then, some ratings for Dapol's new, at least for 2024, Toad brake van in O scale. So level of detail, I've thought long and hard about this. I can't give this anything other than 5-star. The level of detail is outstanding. Great underframe, sprung buffers, so much detail in the bodywork and such. It's got the opening doors, it's got the full interior even. Absolutely amazing. The only thing I can think of that it perhaps could have had but didn't was lighting, but I'm not going to knock it down for that because I've never reviewed a brake van, I don't think, with interior lighting. But other than that, absolutely astonishing 5-star. Performance, I've given a near perfect 4.5-star. This is absolutely fine. It handles points without a problem. My set of curves is very, very tight and it went over those absolutely fine. The only reason it can't get full marks is because of that wobbly wheel. Yeah, you can notice the wobbling a little bit, and it's not the freest rolling in the world, but I don't think the lack of free rolling is much of an issue. So close to perfect, not quite, 4.5-star. The quality then I think is the worst aspect of this model, and it's not all bad, like I say. It's got decent weight, the way it's been assembled on the whole isn't bad, but we've got the wobbly loose frames, I don't like that, wobbly wheel, inexcusable, loose roof, wobbly handrails which don't really have any strength to them and they're not even supported properly. So there's quite a few things I think could have been done better here, particularly on a model that costs about £100, or for me very, very close to 100. Value for money then, with that in mind, I've given 4 stars. So the RRP is £101.50, so just a hair over 100. You can now pick these up for about £86.29, which I think is actually a pretty fair price. I paid somewhere between the two. I paid £96.44, and my invoice did say free postage, so I don't think that includes postage. This was from TMC. So yeah, I don't think it's a bargain. I think if the quality was 100%, then yes, this would have been an absolute bargain. But looking at the model I've got, it's not a bargain, but it is worth the money for the most part, I would say, and the price at the very least is fair. So that's an overall score of 8.08 out of 10, or a grade of B. Yeah, I think that's fine. If this was to get an A, then I think it would need better build quality, really, and that's pretty much it. The rest of the model, fairly spot on. So into the logbook it goes. Obviously this is my first O-gauge rolling stock review of the year, so there's nothing else to compare it to at the moment, which begs the question, what other O-gauge rolling stock would you like to see me review? If you've got some suggestions, please do pop them down below in the comments. So there you have it then, folks. That was my review of Dapol's O-gauge Toad. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. A lot of surprises. The lacking quality was quite a surprise, but also that astonishing interior was a real surprise as well. This is such a classic piece of Great Western rolling stock that it's so good to see a new tooled and highly detailed one available in O-gauge at a reasonable price. So I think for that reason, this is something I can recommend. Just keep an eye on the quality, I would say. So thank you so much for watching. Comment down below, let me know what you think about this. And if you've got one of these, perhaps in a different livery, how did you get on with it? Again, please do let me know. But for now, once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you again very soon for another review. Alright, cheers folks, you take care.